Welcome to Black Men Speak. I'm your co-host, J.R. Stewart. My other partner in crime, Tommy Duncan, has not arrived yet, so hopefully we will see him soon. We skipped the theme music for tonight, and the lights in my studio room here is a little light. I apologize for that. It's not that I don't want to be seen on video, although I don't. Um, I've been dealing with recovering from some eye infection. It started in my right eye about 2 weeks ago. Then it cleared up, and now I have the same infection on my left eye, and so I'm just recovering from that. My eyes are still, very red, very sore, and too much light seems to bother them. So, if you see me wiping my eyes, my eyes are just watery. Don't want you to think that I'm crying. So tonight's subject is sparing the rod. So I can't remember, maybe it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't know what context it was in, but we mentioned something about child raising and sparing the rod. And I just thought that would be an interesting topic to visit or to revisit, because I think we've done this topic before, at least once before. Or maybe I did a video on another channel talking about the same subject. So my belief is that we are in violation of what God wants us to do when it comes to dealing with children when they become knuckleheads. And it's not that people say, well, JR, you just want to, you believe in whipping kids, and that's not true. I grew up and only received one whooping in my life as a child. Because I was smart, I did my absolute best to get out of spankings as best I could. And so by making sure that I could get out of trouble, kept me from getting into spankings. But with that being said, the Bible still says that you should spank your children. That when you spare the rod, you spoil the child. And it doesn't say belt, it doesn't say hand, it doesn't say switch, it doesn't say electrical cord either now, so let's not get crazy. But it does say rod, and you can inflict some serious pain and some damage with a rod. We all know that. And so the spanking of your children should not be something that you take lightly. It should be something. There's TD. I started the show without you, but we can go ahead and pause here, and you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Jimmy, can you hear me?
I can. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tom? Okay. Are you muted?
Yeah. G, if you can hear me, say something.
I can hear you. I am. I'm speaking. I've been speaking. Let's see.
I'm here, Jimmy. If you can hear me, I hear some shuffling or something inside, but I can't hear your voice.
So you say you can't hear me? Go ahead and speak. We can hear you, Tom. So I guess Tommy is not hearing me for some reason. So how about now, T? Okay. He's going to try logging off and logging back in. We will see if that takes care of it. Okay, I hear something on your side. Can you hear me now? I think he's going to change headsets.
All right, Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yes.
I cannot hear you.
You still can't hear me. Oh, that's interesting. I apologize, people. We do have this from time to time. So,
Tommy Duncan. To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
yes.
Hey, Jimmy, it's like mute on your side. I can't hear anything.
Well, I'm not sure why you can't.
hear.
Yeah, you can hear me, but it's like total mute on your side.
Hmm. Tell you what,
Can you
I'm going to stop the
I'm
show.
gonna stop
I'm
the
streaming.
show.
People
Streaming.
will be
People
back in 30
will be
seconds.
back in
If
30
you dare, just
seconds.
hold
If you
on.
dare, just hold on.
Okay, we are back online. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you via the phone. I cannot hear you via the web.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what then. We'll just keep the phone line going, and so we can hear you fine. So anyway, we started the show off talking about sparing the rod. Not necessarily sparing the hand or the belt or the switch or the electric cord. But if you consider yourself a Christian and a godly person, I think God gives you the formula for how to deal with bad kids and to help your kids become the type of adults that God would like for them to be. And so when your children are going off course, the way to get them back on course is to not spare the rod like the Bible asks you. What say you, Tom?
Well, Jimmy, I think we're definitely on the same.
Were you afraid to do anything, at school, or if you were out in the neighborhood? Because you know what, if you got caught doing something wrong, if you decided you were gonna try to get away with stealing something or doing something you knew you weren't gonna be doing, not only were you gonna get a butt whipping when you were at home, but you're gonna be getting a butt whipping on the way home. So that's 2 or 3 butt whippings you have to deal with. So for what it's worth, Jimmy, you can say spare the rod in a literal sense, or you can say it in more of a figurative sense. But when we start talking about taking ownership of disciplining your children, and we're not talking about timeout, but disciplining your children, not brutalizing them, you know, not abusing them, but disciplining your children, absolutely, Jimmy, because at the end of the day, if you don't teach your children structure and discipline at a very young age, I guarantee you the world will, and it ain't gonna be so nice.
Well, that is true, Tom. And so, when the fathers are not there in the home, then this can certainly create a problem. Like you said, it used to be the community had some responsibility that they would bring you home and alert mama that you were acting up, and then mama would notify dad. And so you potentially could get 3 ass whoopings. But those days are gone now. People don't let you touch their kids anymore. And parents don't touch their kids anymore. Did we lose audio again?
No, we're still here, but I do hear some background noise.
Yeah, that's because we got the phone and the mic are within reach of each other, so it's feeding back between each other.
Gotcha. Well, Jimmy, you bring up a very good point in terms of the absence of the father figure in our families, in our households, and in our communities. And I know we've talked about this on several occasions, but before the 70s, you know, African Americans were more likely to be married and have a father in the household, you know, than other communities. You know, unfortunately, starting with several institutional factors that have literally torn the father out of the household, you know, we have been moving down the road of an epidemic and of epidemic proportions that has taken discipline out of our household, that has taken identity out of the raising of our children. Because, I mean, for what it's worth, you know, a father has a specific role and a mother has a specific role. And quite frankly, our mothers have been taking on the role of the mother and the father. And they've been trying to do that, but when I look at, you know, where our communities are, where our children are today, it ain't been working so well.
No, it has not.
If there is no change, if we don't turn the corner, if we don't figure out how to bring father figures, if not literal fathers, back into our households, we are already in a state of destruction, Jimmy. I can only see it getting worse.
No, Tom, it is getting worse. And I'm just reminded of a thought. It seemed like every generation believes that they are in the last days, that they're in the book of Revelation rather than the book of Genesis.
I'm not sure if you could hear me, but it looks like, I don't know if your microphone went out, but I'm not seeing,
No, I can hear you.
hearing you.
No, I can hear you. I just have you on mute.
Okay, there we go.
So I'm trying to control some of the sound to the phone.
Gotcha.
So what I was saying is that every generation believes that they're in the book of Revelation rather than the book of Genesis. And, you know, with that, we have to understand that we can't always be in the last days. Every generation believing they're in the last days. At some point, there has to be some hope for future generations that are coming up that they're going to get their turn and their chance, and they're going to have a full experience from Genesis to Revelation. So we should be careful about the doom and gloom that we spread, but on top of that, our young people have to have a sense of discipline like you talk about. In order for them to benefit and enjoy the benefits of having a full life, they have to learn how to play by the rules and what is expected of them. And if the father is not in the household to help deliver that message and enforce that message, then you're just cheating these kids that you bring into the world without giving them the discipline, the wisdom that you can provide as a man into their life.
I would agree with that, Jimmy, and, you know, we're in trouble. 75% of our households are run by women only. You know, obviously there are some fathers in the lives of some of these children, but it's not the same as when we have a father in the house on a day-to-day basis. You know, usually in a traditional household family model, the father is a disciplinarian, the mother is the nurturer, they work together in order to create an image what a healthy family environment looks like for children. But they partner together in terms of creating that model and creating that message. And so when you have two generations of children that grow up not understanding what that model is supposed to look like, it's very difficult for them to become healthy, functional fathers, healthy, functional mothers without having seen it. And quite frankly, you have a lot of our women in particular, because they grow up with a mother who's been a father and a mother, they have taken on a more masculine role in the households. And unfortunately, you have a couple of generations of young men haven't been raised by their mothers. They have taken on more of a psychological role of codependence. Not that they are not physically strong, but they look and operate under a sense of psychological independence on the mother, on the girlfriend.
Right. Well, that is true, Tom. And once again, that's a problem with not having a father in the household. Too many of our young men are growing up to be grown boys rather than learning how to be a man that accepts responsibility and knows how to keep a family intact and know how to raise his children. Unfortunately, these messages, these lessons are not being handed down. So if you're a father and you're not in that household to be the first line of defense to teach your kids how to respect authority, then don't be surprised when they end up in jail. Don't be surprised when they end up in gangs or following other people that lead them down or lead them astray. You know, that this is your responsibility. You can't hand this off to the woman. You can't be just go stay with your mama and she'll take care of everything. If you're that kind of man, then really you're not a man at all. You're just a grown boy. Okay, I've turned the phone off too, so. Tom, we have to make it okay to start whooping kids. This is a simple. You know what, Tom? If there's no man in the household, if you are a single mother raising some knucklehead kids, then you may have to contract this service out to somebody. You need to find you a brother, an uncle. You know, you need to find some man in your life that you can say, hey, come over. I need you to come over, and it's not a booty call. But I'm gonna leave the house. But I need you to whoop my kids. You know, because they didn't bring home the grades they were supposed to. They didn't do the chores like they were supposed to. They've been cutting up and getting into trouble, hanging out with the wrong people. And so if you're the mother and you can't do it, I understand. But you have somebody in your life. If you're sleeping with somebody, or you have a brother, an uncle, a cousin, call them. Leave the house. Don't sit around there because it's hard listening to someone whoop your kids. But you need to find somebody to do it. And if you don't have anybody in your family or friendship that can do it, then we need to start an ass whooping company where you contract the service out. Hell, there'll be some men out there that do it for free. You wouldn't even have to pay them. You won't take no break. See, tell me, you can't find anybody to do it, I'll do it. Wouldn't even take a lunch break. Gotta go. I understand. So that's what we need, Tom. I mean, I can make a joke about it, but Robin Harris is right. That's what we need. Because they had to do it, Tom. In jail. Or in the graveyard. You know, so yes, that's when parents had good sense. Today, everybody wants to be friends with their kids. You know, want to spoil their kids, give them what they didn't have growing up, and as a result, a lot of these kids are growing up rotten, Tom. And it's not fair to the kid for you to cheat them out of life, quality of life that way. You're much better off having some discipline in your life growing up, understanding where the boundaries are. Because when you go into society, society's going to have rules. They're going to have boundaries that you have to respect. And if you don't respect them, then you end up in jail. You end up on the wrong side of the law. Six percent of the population. Right. Yes. Well, Tom, not to get overly, religious. I do read my Bible quite a bit. I do read the Quran quite a bit. I try to draw knowledge from wherever I can get it. But God did not make us as men to be in these conditions. Having this many black men sent up in prison when you were made in God's image and given dominion over the planet. That means there's no place east or west that can call you a stranger, when you are being put in charge of that. And then look where you end up, sitting in somebody's jail, trying to play thug and gangster and give people a reason to lock you up and take your freedom away from you. You're supposed to be the smartest thing walking on this planet, and yet you're the dumbest. I mean, we are so far off track, Tom, that it's laughable. I'd imagine, God can't even hear your prayers that you're so far down. So we have to turn this around, Tom, and if we can't turn it around and do right by our families, then we have no chance of doing right by society and by this planet that we were given charge over. And this is not white folks' responsibility. This is our responsibility. We have to stop thinking that we don't have a role in the world. We do. But if you don't have a role in your family and your kids, you certainly can't have a role beyond that. Yes. Yes. That is true. That is true, Tom. If he's not going to commit to you and be willing to lay his life down, work for you, provide a home for you, provide some kind of security. You know, I don't care if if you work at McDonald's or you're the CEO of a large corporation. You know, go out and do something productive. But if he's not willing to do that, if he's going to put you out there to go work, lay up with you, don't commit to you, don't try to provide a home for you, sucking up your resources. And like you just said, Tom, don't expect after the baby comes that all of a sudden he's going to step up and be responsible. It doesn't work that way. He is showing you his cards. So don't lay up and have a baby for a trifling man. I don't care how good looking he is. Yes. Tricksters out there. So Tom, just to reiterate, we are with you. I don't want the sisters writing in complaining that we're blaming them for everything and not blaming the guys. So please hear what Tommy just said. We are with you. We're just trying to encourage you to make a better decision in your life. You know, I mean, there are guys out there that are predators. They're very good at their craft. They know exactly what to say to pull your strings. But in the end, are they going to be there with you? No. Are they going to help you build something in life? No. They're going to take you for everything they can get from you, squeeze you like a lemon, and then leave you. Yes. They did some vetting. Yes. In time, the old people back then had two sayings when you brought your guy friend or your girlfriend around the family. This person is either good to you or they're good for you. if he's good to you, it just means he treats you good. But deep, you're not really trying to build a life with that person. The guy you want to build a life with is the one that's good for you. So you have to listen to the old people sometimes. They're trying to talk to you because they may see some things that you don't see. They may pick up on some things that you're not picking up on. So listen to them and don't just think they're old-fashioned and don't know what they're talking about. Right. Right. That's true. That is true. And plus, Tom, when you get your families involved, when you start running into some difficulties, and young people will, and to them it looks like a mountain, but to the older people, to the elders, they understand it's just a pebble. But when both families are involved and invested in the relationship, when you start having some issues, both families can help you through those issues. But when you don't involve family, you just go make a decision and start your life with someone without getting any buy-in from anybody else. When that marriage starts having trouble, no one feels the desire or the pressure to help you get through it. They figure, hey, you picked them, so you figure it out. Well, the top three is make a good choice in life. When you make that choice, it's not for play like Keisha would say from another channel. Make sure that it is for real and that you have buy-in from your family, hopefully. And then the third thing, Tom, is if you have kids and you're committed to making sure they're raised right and become children of God and adults of God as they grow up, make sure that you use the belt as a corrective action plan and method to keep them on track. Not whooping them is not doing them a favor. Right. Well, yes, they can. We go through it, Tom. Yes. That's right. Yeah, I need to try to be friends. That's important. Especially when especially when all that lust and love wears off, man. You got to have something to sustain you beyond that. So you need to make sure that the person that you with is somebody you enjoy being around or could be around without y'all killing each other. So what's your third point, Tom? Yeah, don't fall in love with the looks. Ooh. Yes. It is. Well, and make sure if you have fruit falling from the tree, that if they get off course, that you got a belt to get them back on course. So while we're here, Tom, so for next month in February, Relationship Month, we will dedicate every show to relationship next month. So please turn in if you want to get some advice from a couple of wise guys who've been around a few blocks. That we have a few things we want to share with you, young and old. So with that being said, Tom, we are a little bit over. We're sorry for the sound problem. That was my fault. There was a setting I forgot to check on Google Meet. But go ahead and take us out, Tom, with a prayer. Amen. (9 p.m. Central Time).